And this evening, we are going to have a very interesting conversation because I have with me a team from TBD, and we will be talking about how we can enhance our payment systems or platforms. And I believe that you are going to learn a lot from it. You might have been hearing a lot about 3i Summit, and yes, these people also represented in that summit. And we'll be having a conversation on what TBD does so that you can pick one or two from it. But before we have our conversations and before I introduce my guests, we would like to share with you what is happening in the tech space. So why not take a listen to the emerging tech trends?
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Emerging Tech Trends on Joy Geek Squad. In our headlines, ChatGPT will be able to talk to you like Scarlett Johansson in Hair. OpenAI releases GPT-40, a faster module that's free for all ChatGPT users. TikTok will automatically label more AI-generated content in its app. Meta's next hardware project might be AI-infused headphones with cameras. Let's settle for the details now. OpenAI's new Her-inspired voice assistant feature can read facial expressions and instantly translate spoken language. This was demonstrated on Monday during a live stream by OpenAI engineers and CTO Mira Murati. OpenAI has launched GPT-40, a faster and improved version of the GPT-4 module that powers ChatGPT. During a live stream, OpenAI CTO Mira Murati announced that the updated model boosts text, vision, and audio capabilities and is accessible to everyone for free. Paid users will have 5 times more capacity limits than free users. TikTok is intensifying its effort to automatically label AI-produced content, including work created using third-party tools, with plans to introduce content credentials, a digital watermark to indicate generative AI use. And finally, Meta is reportedly exploring designs for AI-enabled headphones dubbed camera buds, with 2 outward-facing cameras to power real-time AI features. The company, eager to establish itself as an AI firm, is in the preliminary stages of determining whether they will go with earbuds or headphones. And that's it for Emerging Trends on Joy Geek Squad.
Welcome back. This is Geek Squad with your girl Adobea Biritwum. Geek Squad is brought to you by MTN. MTN everywhere you go. And we are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook at Joy 99.7 FM. Tonight we are going to have a very interesting conversation, and I'm super excited because one of the guests, I've been reading a lot from her, interestingly, because I'm a software tester and I've seen most of the things that she has put up there. And so we are going to have a conversation with a team from TBD. I have with me the CEO in the person of Mike Brock. Mike, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And I also have with me Angie Jones. She is the Global Vice President of Developer Relations. Angie, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
She's the one I've been reading the blogs from, and I'm so happy to see that I would be interviewing her this evening. So I'll just start with you, Mike. Just tell me something more about you. You're the CEO of TBD. Anything at all that our listeners can know about who Mike is?
Well, I've been actually at Block, which is our parent company, for over 10 years. I was one of the, I don't know if your listeners are familiar with Cash App in the United States, but I was one of the early employees behind that, and so helped build that out and bring Bitcoin to it. I'm also known as a bit of a philosophy nerd.
Philosophy nerd.
Yeah, I'm a philosophy nerd. So we don't have to get into philosophy today, but
Yeah.
we could if you wanted to. But
Maybe.
but no, I have background in philosophy, which I think has actually helped serve me quite well in the technology industry. So that might be one interesting thing
about
me.
you.
Yeah.
Good to know. Angie, anything about you too, for our listeners to just know?
Yeah, sure. So I worked most of my career as an engineer at companies like IBM, Twitter, LexisNexis, those sorts of places, and joined TBD about 2.5 years ago. when they started this new business unit that's focused on open source technology. So that's something that I'm really passionate about. And now I work in developer relations where I help other engineers understand how to use our offerings.
Now, the interesting thing is that when we had our flyer out, there were countless people just asking me, what is the meaning of TBD? What is the meaning of TBD? And so I'm just going to give you the opportunity. What does TBD stand for, if there is any special meaning to it?
We can't tell you.
If you had to guess, what would you say?
We can't tell you.
To be determined?
Okay, let's go with it.
All right. All right. If that's what you want to believe, but
Really?
It's mysterious.
it's mysterious. It's a mystery.
Okay, so for my listeners, if you were just wondering what TBD is, you will keep wondering. It is mysterious. But
You will remember us.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, the way everybody wanted to know what it was about, I'm sure they've just tuned in today and they are listening because they just want to know, who are these mysterious people, TBD. All right. So you spoke about your parents' company. Can we talk about that journey as in TBD? You spoke about Block earlier.
Yeah.
Can we start from there?
Yeah, I think Block. We were formerly known as Square, and which was founded all the way back in 2009, a year into the great financial crisis. It was started with a founding idea by Jack Dorsey and his co-founder Jim McKelvey. To find it actually came from a real world problem that Jim McKelvey had. He had a side business of glass blowing, and he came across an opportunity to sell one of his glass sculptures, which somebody offered him like several $1,000s for, and he was like, "I'll buy it right now if you take credit card," and he didn't, and that ended up being the sort of the nugget of an idea, that what if like there was a way for anyone to accept a credit card from a smartphone. And that was how and Jack had left Twitter famously, and so they got together and they dreamt up an idea of like how to potentially build a credit card reader that could plug into a microphone jack and take a credit card payment. And so that brought birth to the founding idea of how to build out a new payment technology that any small business or individual sole proprietor could use. And so Square defined an entire category, the micro merchant category in the United States, and this idea has obviously spread throughout the world. And we're still the leader in that category, our Square business. Our second business was Cash App, which I played a large role in helping to build that business. We're one of the largest fintech consumer apps in the United States. With Cash App, we built that with the intention of trying to serve underbanked and unbanked individuals in the United States, because we recognized that there was a whole cohort of Americans that simply couldn't get access to a bank account for like various reasons, credit reasons, and we set out to build an application that served them. And so this has kind of been our theme, our whole corporate existence, trying to find ways to give people access to financial services that can't get access to them for one reason or another. And so TBD is a continuation of that same story of trying to build financial access for those in the world that don't have access to it. And TBD is sort of unique in a few ways as our next like big idea at Block. We're sort of targeting software developers around the world with the technologies we're building, and the reason we're doing that is through a recognition that like obviously our Square and Cash App businesses are not global, and they probably can't be fully global because different markets have different peculiar needs.
Yeah.
Payment systems work different country to country. Regulations are different country to country. There's like cultural differences in various countries,
Yeah,
and some
that's
of our
true.
some of our design decisions don't necessarily translate across all markets. And so, like trying to come up with like a global way to solve the financial access problem was always sort of a, like something we always wanted to do as a company. And a few things kind of came together as a set of ideas that really, I think, allowed us to bootstrap the TBD idea. The first was Jack's interest in Bitcoin, which really kicked into high gear in 2017 when he convinced me to work on a Bitcoin project with him. And when I say convinced me, it actually took some convincing. Like I told him
So
no.
I was going to ask you, why did he need to convince you?
Well, I thought it was crazy. I thought it was a crazy idea at the time. And so this is a true story. We have this, every year we have this thing at our company called Hack Week.
Okay.
It's a week where everybody at the company essentially just gets to work on like whatever they want to for a week. They can try to like hack together like a new feature for a product. They can try to dream up a new product. They can try to, they can do community service if they want. Like it's supposed to be like anything that kind of like draws like creates like an impact.
Okay.
And so Jack decided that he was going to do a Hack Week project to build Bitcoin into Cash App, and he wanted me to work with him on it. And so he came up to me, I think, on the Monday morning of the Hack Week and said, we're doing Bitcoin. You're going to do it with me. And I said, I can't. Like, I'm not participating in Hack Week because I'm like busy like trying to launch this product called Cash Card. And he was like no, we're going to do Bitcoin. And I basically told him no. And he decided that he wasn't going to take no for an answer. So he literally camped out at my desk. And he said, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to do all my meetings at your desk until you say yes. And he did like, in fact, like, he carried out his threat. He literally had, he had his executive assistant direct all of the people that have meetings to like literally like walk over to my desk and have their meetings there with me, to literally just annoy me to death. So I would eventually relent. Yeah. So it took a day and a half. So we were we were a day and a half. It was like mid-Tuesday. So we'd already lost. So we had 3.5 days left when I finally relented and agreed to do it with him. And so that was I guess the way that I got involved in Bitcoin.
Okay.
That was a true story. Then of course like we did it, and we built this Bitcoin functionality into Cash App, which we actually didn't get working until the next Monday. So we completely cheated. It was supposed to be done by Friday. And then after that, Jack he was like, we should like actually build this into a full product and take it to market. And it took him some convincing. It took some more convincing to get me to commit to that as well. So, but then we did it. We spent the next year becoming the first publicly traded company to offer Bitcoin in a consumer product. And so that was like the first kind of like, I guess the key ingredient that I think formed the basis of thinking about like, we could potentially use a digital asset like Bitcoin to really establish global reach and go out there and solve some interesting problems in the world. The second key ingredient to TBD was like digital identity technologies, like decentralized identity, and using that as a way to create systems of trust on the internet.
Okay, so for my listeners, it would be good for us to just break some of the terms down so that they can understand. So when we say decentralized identity,
I could take a stab.
Sure.
Yeah, let Angie talk. I've been talking this whole time.
Like how we have our paper documents, right? You have passports, driver's license, all of these things, but we don't really have these digital versions of that. And now people are transacting more and more online. right now I need to basically prove my identity to YouTube because I just started a new YouTube channel. And the process of that is horrible. So there's like this in-camera app and they say take a picture of your license. So I'm all around my house trying to find the perfect lighting. I'm tilting the thing and I still don't have a good picture. It came out blurry. They rejected it, right? So what we're doing is trying to digitalize a lot of this so that YouTube or Google, who owns YouTube, has verified my identity at some point in my life, right?
Yes.
What if they gave me like some sort of digital credential that says, yes, I know who you are. And then if I needed to present it to one of their other products like YouTube, I could just present that versus trying to take a picture of this, which feels very antiquated in today's like digital times, right?
That's so true. That's so true.
So we want to do this sort of thing with finances and fintech type of apps as well. So as you're trying to transact across different borders, like Mike said, these different countries, they have different rules, they have different regulations. What if they could specify this, like these are the types of credentials that I need, and if it's all digital, then it's much easier to provide that information to basically comply with regulations and things like that, so that this could just be a seamless, very fast transaction.
But the point of all that though is like to come back to the question before that, Rick, around like what
TBD.
what the idea was, and sort of continuing that vision of financial access and solving that problem of the balkanization of like markets, is that like if we can create these universal technologies that can be used anywhere, like a technology like Bitcoin or like things like stable coins, tokenized dollars or tokenized other currencies, and we can pair it with the digital identity technology that Angie was just describing, then we give developers in different parts of the world the tools to build financial services that actually cater to the problems of those markets, but can also be part of a global network, a global connected network of value. And so what we're doing here is, I think, like really like I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy strategy, but I think it's like the one that I think can really work, actually, to one, like create opportunity in places where there's a lot of challenges to getting access to financial services, but then also like dealing with the challenge that, say, like we have of like moving into like markets like that to provide services where there are regulatory barriers and maybe we don't actually understand the problems and the challenges of people in those countries. So we can give people the tools to essentially empower themselves and create domestic businesses and domestic startups that can serve individuals and businesses and institutions in ways that are like tailored to that market. And so that's our kind of grand plan, and why we think this technology is so important and could be really game changing for the world.
Got you. You've mentioned developers a number of times. Are they your target audience, or you're just looking at businesses and then developers who work for the businesses?
Yeah, I mean, developers are one of our target markets in the sense that Angie's full-time job is engaging the developer community. We in terms of like the business that we're building, we really seek to sort of like partner with other institutions, like provide like providers of like potentially banking partners, financial technology companies. That have an interest in accessing this sort of new frontier and providing them with services that enable them to like serve these markets. And so the way that like TBD is the way that we make money is by really thinking about like the fact that there are a whole bunch of businesses out there that would love to have access to this kind of thing, and we can help them. We can provide them services and a way to sort of accelerate their adoption of these technologies. But the actual software that we're building is free. The protocols are free. You don't have to use our services. That's also part of the the magic of this strategy. We just announced today a company Chipper Cash that operates here in Africa, and they self-onboarded onto our TBDEX technology. Like they didn't.
You just mentioned TBDEX.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's the technology that's a name for the technology we've been talking about
okay.
this whole time.
Sure.
And all of this, was beautiful about it, like Mike said, this is like free, right? And it's open source, which means it's very transparent. Anyone can go, any developer can take this today. They can download it. They can build their new payment application, right? Using these tools. They don't owe us a dime. In fact, because it's open source, they can also change it if they need it. So, like Mike said, every company, every country, everyone has like different needs and wants. I can take this technology, I can do what's called like a fork, and basically change it for my needs if I wanted to. People can also contribute back to these projects since it's open source. So we have multiple companies that, they have really unique use cases that maybe we hadn't thought about, or we just haven't gotten around to implementing those features yet, and they've come to the project and had these companies had their developers actually write the features and put it in a project. So it's a very collaborative effort.
That's so good to know. So for the ordinary Ghanaian and the role that TBD is playing, how do they benefit from it?
Well, the way that we envision people benefiting from it is like, we want to connect individuals to the global digital economy. We want to enable services and products that can serve people better, faster, cheaper, and more securely. So, like, I mean, money is like one of the biggest parts of people's lives, and making payments, digital payments, is increasingly like a necessity for participating in the global economy, and for like entrepreneurs who want to access capital and build businesses with global reach. Payments that can transcend borders and can do so cheaply and accessibly in a universal and open way is our goal here. So the way that we want to help here is like, we want to provide the foundations by which people can like build businesses, can gain access to global capital, and ultimately like have access to a global connected digital economy, like through using things like digitally native currencies like Bitcoin, and digitally native identity technologies like the decentralized identity technology that Angie was talking about. These are foundational tools upon which entire businesses and technologies and experiences can be built. And so like, we kind of think about it as infrastructure, right? Like we're building like the pipes and the sewers and of the city that will be built on top of this core infrastructure. And we think that the time is now for this kind of thing. And in some ways, the internet's very broken today, not just here, but around the world. Like, I think that the way in which all of our online services are essentially paid for through the advertising model creates a troubling situation, because it creates really perverse incentives, right? Like the way that social media works today is funded by advertising. And so what does that do? Is it creates the incentives to farm engagement. It creates the incentives to make people mad and upset, because that gets more like reposts, and the algorithm wants to show that kind of thing because more advertisements will get seen.
Yeah.
and that's like not healthy for people. It's making us crazy, right? So there's potentially other models that we could have if we had like internet native money with like cheap payments and micropayments. Like, what if you paid like fractions of a penny, to like access a service, the kind of thing that like was just such a tiny amount of money that to the average person, like was like worth a fraction of a cup of a coffee to like access a service. And you can do that efficiently because the transaction costs are so low and the risk of financial loss is so low that entire businesses could be built around micropayments as opposed to advertising, which could like lead to the ability to have viable businesses which are more aligned to the interests of individuals. We can't do that today because like the traditional payment systems have very high transaction costs, and that makes like micropayments completely unfeasible. So like there's like lots of ways I think this technology could actually like improve the internet for the better, like like all over the place. That's just like one example. But like that's the kind of future that we want to build towards, one where services and the interests of their, I mean, like a proper, I think a proper business transaction is one where both parties benefit.
Exactly.
Right?
Mutual, yeah.
Right? Like I give you money and you give me something I want. I'm not sure that people are really getting what they want, right? From these like advertising-based businesses, right? They're like it's like the advertisers are getting what they want.
We just skip it.
No, you're the
No,
product.
you want to watch it.
No, you're the product.
Yeah.
The advertiser's the customer.
Yeah.
That's like quite literally
Yeah,
like what
it's
is
true.
going on.
Yeah.
And so I think like building like a stronger foundation that where like developers and entrepreneurs can really start like building, business models of like mutual benefit, because they have access to like a, cheap and secure and privacy preserving technologies for the movement of value is just like a huge opportunity. And that's like, for me, like when I'm looking out 5-10 years or like what's the potential of this technology, that's what I'm thinking about. I mean, in the short term, there's like really big challenges like international remittances, like moving money across borders more cheaply. And we're going after that like aggressively, because I think there's a huge opportunity there. And we think that that's like, our next great sort of like disruption opportunity. But like long term, I think, creating a healthier internet where transactions are about mutual benefit and not just like turning us all into like engagement, like, like we're basically being like farmed like animals to like engage with these things so advertisers can sell us more stuff. And like that just doesn't feel healthy.
Got you. Can we talk a bit about that? What you just spoke about, the disruption when it comes to the international remittances.
I got a story I want to
That's fine.
want to bring up there. So Mike talked about the internet, and you said, like, when I came, you said, oh, I've read some of your blogs, right? So it connects us. We live in 2 different continents. You're able to consume my content online. Beautiful thing, right? However, if I try to send you money, why is that so difficult? I my first trip to Africa, I had this wonderful videographer who captured me being here and like meeting with these different developers. And before I left the U.S., I sent money to him via my bank, right? And I got here, he shot the whole thing. He still hadn't received this money. So I've already flown across the world, conducted business, flew back home, and this man still has not received this payment. That's ridiculous, right? And so this is what TBDX unlocks, so that we can do like these cross-border payments, and it's just as simple as if I were to send you money on like WhatsApp or something like that.
I get that. So that is what TBD is looking at doing to make this seamless for all of us. So you spoke about doing a lot of things and taking this around the world. And I know that you are on a Pan-African roadshow. So how is that going so far? And what are your thoughts so far on the 3i Summit that is being held?
Well, our team is on a Pan-African roadshow.
You are not?
I'm here just for
The
the 3i
Summit.
conference.
Okay.
Although this is my 4th time in Ghana, so I've been here before. We are very much focused on the potential here in Africa. We see that the need is like really, really great here for better financial access and access to cheaper payments and access to global the global liquidity. We have, I mean, the conversations we have here just like validate that all the time. So yes, we have our team here. I think Angie and the team. I think you guys are headed to Cape Town next.
Yeah,
right?
so we'll do a workshop, a full day workshop with developers here in Ghana, free of charge. These people are from payments companies, right? And they are interested in expanding to these international markets. Maybe right now they have liquidity for Ghana, maybe a couple of other African countries. Maybe they want to expand out to other markets, and TBDEX enables them to do that. And so in this workshop, we're going to teach them. It's a full day. We will take like a sample payment app and show them how to integrate that.
When is this happening?
When is this? Thursday? So this will be Thursday. The website, if anyone is interested in signing up, although like we're sold out, we might be able to squeeze you in.
You have to.
It's tbdex.io/workshops. And click on the one for Accra. And then we are also going to go to Cape Town and do the workshop there, as well as Nairobi.
The one in Accra, is it going to be a virtual event or it's physical?
It's a physical event.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on Thursday, can you just go over the sites that they can just check it out on?
The website again?
Yes, the website.
Okay,
exactly.
tbdex.io/workshops.
Okay. If you're just joining us, we are having a conversation with the CEO, that's Mike Brock, and the Global Vice President of Developer Relations, Angie Jones. They both work with TBD, and we've been having conversations on how we can enhance the payment systems in our continent, Africa. And so far, we've had a good conversation. We will be coming right back after this. We'll definitely be getting into some more things that they would have to share with us. But right after this, we will be getting back into the conversation. Stay tuned.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions.
And send tweets.
Where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion, like how a single word
Joy 99.7 FM.
I might only have one match, but I can make an explosion. And all those things I didn't say were wrecking balls inside my brain. I will scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is my fight. Prove I'm alright, my power's turned on. Starting right now, I'll be strong.
Welcome back. This is Geek Squad with your girl Adobea Biritwum. We've been having a conversation on how we can enhance our payment platforms in Africa, and starting with Ghana, because I have the TBD team with me here, the CEO Mike Burke and Angie Jones, the Global Vice President of Developer Relations. So Angie, I'll be coming to you with this one. We just want to find out from you. So you mentioned that the application used or the platform used is called TBDex, right? We want to touch on it a bit. So for someone who probably just joined us, we want to just quickly summarize what you do, and then based on that, you mention the name of the site again and just spell it out so that people can just know what we've spoken about.
Sure thing. So it's essentially a protocol. If you think about other protocols that move money, like SWIFT, might be one that comes to mind, or something like that. So this is an alternative to that that's built on open standards. So no one owns this, right? It's open source, open standards that we're using. And honestly, for your everyday user, this should be behind the scenes. Like when I send money to folks, I don't care like what's going on behind the scenes, right? But for developers and for entrepreneurs, this is a game changer for them to be able to, one, expand to different markets, but two, also move money across borders a whole lot faster and make sure that they're compliant when doing so. So what it does is connect applications like payment apps. What's the biggest payment app here?
Ghana mobile money, MTN mobile money, and then Express Pay. There are quite
Wave
a
and stuff like this, right?
Yeah,
okay,
those are international ones. Yeah.
Okay, so you take like one of those types of payment apps, right? And if they wanted to offer more currencies from anywhere in the world, they can do that. So what TBDex does is allow them to have a conversation, two applications, ones that are seeking money and ones that have money to provide, right? And it's essentially a swap where I say, if I wanted to pay that videographer, this was in Nigeria. So let's say I wanted to pay him with my USD, but he needs to receive Naira. So what TBDex does is allow like my payment app, whatever I'm using in the US, if they were to integrate with TBDex, to talk to his payment app or whatever, and be able to make that conversion behind the scenes. I don't need to know about it. He doesn't need to know about it. But I say, I want to send him, 500 USD. And then he gets the equivalent of that in his local currency on his side. So that's what TBDex enables.
Okay. And as you said, developers and entrepreneurs are really going to be benefiting a lot from this. And it's definitely something that if you are joining us and you are listening to us, one of the things we have been talking about a lot this year is for you to learn something new in tech. And this is open source. Definitely, if you know something about development, you can just take a look at it and contribute to it too. It's TBDex, TBDE.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. And then, so can you just provide some more information on the SDK? Because you have that too. So can you just talk about that?
Okay. So the protocol basically describes, like, how does this thing work? You can think of this as a blueprint, right? And then there's implementations of that protocol. So we've done this in multiple programming languages. So if, let's say, for example, you were building an iOS application, right? A payment application. So you would want to use TBDex in that native language, which is Swift. So we have like an SDK, which stands for Software Developer Kit, that people can download and they can basically integrate it within their existing application, right? We have the same thing for Kotlin to handle Android applications, and then JavaScript to handle web applications.
Okay. So let me just ask you, Mike, what are some specific challenges that you foresee in the Ghanaian market?
Well, I mean, the challenges we see here are very similar to the challenges we see around the world, right? Which is that, financial services are regulated, and so you do have to contend with regulation. But I mean, I think like what we're trying to do in order to address these challenges is in particular like providing these core tools like the identity and credentials tools, which we believe give developers the ability to build these services in a way that can ultimately satisfy the policy objectives of financial regulators in Ghana and around the world. But I mean, I think the opportunities are much larger than the challenges. I think I mean we do plan, right, and in the over the next year to be rolling out like our global remittance services that will ride the TBDEX network, and we expect that to operate here in this market as an off-ramp market, as well as other African countries through our ecosystem partners, Yellow Card and Shipper Cash. So we think that, I mean, we're gonna demonstrate it like firsthand that this technology works and can fundamentally make a positive difference. And we hope, and this is sort of, this is our call to action. Like if you're out there like listening, and you're a fintech company here in Ghana, and you're interested in this sort of thing, like you can self-onboard to this technology. You don't need our permission to do so today. Yeah. And I think that's exciting, and I think we're actually just really excited to see. I guess our biggest challenge, actually, just to kind of cut myself off here mid-thought, is getting that ecosystem adoption, getting people bought in, getting the developers interested and willing to sort of put in the sweat equity to innovate on top of this technology. But that's why we're here, making people aware of this technology. That's why Angie's here. That's why she's running the workshop on Thursday.
That's why it's sold out.
Yeah,
and people do want this, right? And so when we're on the ground and we're talking, and this is in Africa as well as other countries. We were just in Rio last month, and people were super excited about this, especially if they work on like payment applications, because that's a huge problem, being able to expand your reach to these international markets, to be able to comply. That's where the challenge comes in. So you get back to like, okay, those digital IDs, like those credentials, how might I be able, oh wow, that sounds like that solves my problem. And it's not even a pitch that we have to give to people. We tell them about the technology and they're like, oh, I need that. and so they already have their game plan in mind of how they're going to implement it. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is it's not so prescriptive that, you have to follow a certain pattern. You use it as you want to and as you will, and you describe what your requirements are for people to use it.
It's really interesting. And as you said, people will just jump on it, looking at how the technology is, and especially because they also get to contribute. So you spoke about, is it Chipper Cash, or that's the people that you have the partnership with? So are you looking at doing something?
Well, they self-onboarded.
Okay,
so
by themselves.
They like picked it up. They picked up our SDKs and they coded towards it. And we're really excited to, announce them coming on board. But like that's like the beauty of this. Like the people don't have to work with us to use this technology.
You don't have to call us. Don't call Mike.
Don't call Mike. I'll talk. I mean, if you want to hear like more like battle scar stories from Jack browbeating me into doing things, give me a call. But I'm joking. That's really the only time he's browbeating me.
But you can just pick this stuff up. Like it's because it's open source, it's permissionless. Like you don't need our permission to use it. You don't have to pay us anything. We don't even have to know about it. Like just go download it, go to tbdex.io. You'll have a link to the developer portion. You get the SDK, you download it. You can have your app built by next month, and you never had to call us.
That's the whole point. And the benefit that we have of using the decentralized technology that TBD is using. So in addition to the Yellow Card, you spoke about Yellow Card earlier, which already operates in Ghana. Would you be willing to collaborate with other local fintech companies? I know developers can have access to the TB decks, but will you be willing to collaborate with local fintech companies, entrepreneurs, and other stakeholders?
Yeah, I mean, like that's why we're here. It's like literally why we're here.
Yeah.
We're looking for opportunities of collaboration here on the ground, here in Ghana and across the continent. And that's like, and the main way we're looking to do that, right, is through our developer engagement, through our developer program, through the outreach and that Angie and team are doing.
Okay.
Like, and we're going to be back, right? I'm planning on being back here in Africa later this year. I was actually here like 4 or 5 months ago at the Africa Bitcoin conference,
Okay.
which was held at the Kempinski Hotel here in Ghana. So like we're here and we're on the ground and we're definitely like looking for those opportunities.
Okay. So Angie, you mentioned the use of the TB decks. We don't need your permission if we're developers and would like to have access to it. So someone probably listening may ask, how secure would this be then? What would be the response to such a question from someone?
Yeah. So because of the technologies that we're using, I won't get too deep and like give you a bunch of jargon, but these are like open standards by W3C, which is like a kind of body of the web, if you will. But like we're using this technology called verifiable credentials. And this uses a lot of cryptography to make sure like you are who you say you are. It hasn't been tampered with. It can be transmitted online and like everything is safe and secure. A lot of this stuff though you would want on like your phone. Like you use your payment app on your phone or something like that, which you would want to secure with other things. So, for example, my state, I live in Louisiana in the U.S., and my state, it was the first one to roll out the mobile driver's license. So this mobile driver's license, I'll show you when we get off.
Okay.
This mobile driver's license sits in like a wallet on my phone, and in order to access it, it has like, so that's my digital ID. It has like some credentials about my age and other like my medical records and things like that are in there. But to access that, I need like biometric, like,
Okay.
verification in order to get into that wallet,
Okay.
right? And so those like these things are very powerful, but like power can also be dangerous, right? So it is important to like secure them behind proper authentication.
And it's worth mentioning that in the United States, because we're like really weird, our driver's licenses tend to be our primary form of government ID.
Okay.
Day to day, like we don't have like national ID card or
We do here.
or
Okay.
anything like that. I mean,
Gotcha.
yeah, like most countries do. Like we don't have that. Like so, like basically. Basically, if you don't drive a car in the United States, it's kind of a problem.
You're not
Like
counted.
we don't really talk about this very much, but like it's weird. So it turns out that yeah, I mean, these are among the most secure forms of identity that we have in the U.S.
Okay. We've been having a conversation on how we can enhance our payment platforms in Africa, starting with Ghana. That's what I'm saying because I'm having a conversation here in Ghana. Before we just wrap up tonight's program, we just want to take a listen to the quick tech fixes. We will be right back after that.
Hello there. My name is Michelle Ejekum, and I bring you some tech quick fixes and tips here on Geek Squad. Sharing file with Nearby Share on Android is a breeze, and it's a great alternative to Bluetooth or traditional file sharing methods. To use Nearby Share on Android, follow these steps. 1. Make sure that both devices have Nearby Share turned on and are close to each other. 2. Choose the file you want to share and tap on the Share button. 3. Look for the Nearby Share icon in the Share menu and tap on it. 4. Select the device you want to share the file with. 5. The recipient will receive a notification and can choose to accept or decline the file. And that's it. So go on and use Nearby Share on Android as it makes it easy and convenient.
Welcome back. This is Geek Squad with your girl Adobea Biritwum. I've been having a conversation with a team from TBD, the CEO Mike Brack and Angie Jones, the Global Vice President of Developer Relations. And so far, we've had a conversation on how anyone being a developer actually or an entrepreneur can just hook onto their platform, that is the TBDEX. It is a decentralized technology platform and you can have access to it for your payment system. And we just want to let our listeners know, for someone who probably just joined us, how can they just hook onto this? If there are specific sites, we can share that with them, and then we can just do some wrapping up.
Sure. So the main portal for this is tbdex.io. So that's tbdex.io. There we have a wealth of information for everyone. So if you're a developer, there's a link for you. If you're a compliance officer, you want to know more about, okay, let me make sure that this stuff is actually safe and secure. We have information for you as well. If you're an entrepreneur, a CTO, a CEO, anything of the sort, we have a wealth of information there that you can consume. Also a link on that developer portal so that you can get the docs. You can get the link to the repos in order to download this software if you want to, as well as the docs that teach you how to do it. If you are local and you want to come out, definitely come out to the workshop on Thursday. You're going to go to tbdex.io/workshops and sign up for that. And we're here to help. So my team is basically available to assist anyone. So multiple companies come into our Discord channel, for example, or on GitHub, and they might have questions. How do I do this? I'm trying to implement that. And my team is there to support them with that.
I'm definitely going to be looking out for that to join the Discord community.
Yes.
All right, Mike. Any final words from you?
I mean, this was a great discussion. Thanks for having us on the show today. We're super excited for the opportunity to to share what we're doing here with your audience and to be here in Ghana and see all the entrepreneurial spirit that's here. So thank you for having us.
Yeah. But just before I let you go, 3i Summit, what would you have to say about it? How has the experience been for you?
I mean, it's really great. I mean, we're learning a lot about the challenges here and some of the ways in which the conversation is evolving here around digital assets and the digital currency strategy of the Bank of Ghana. I've certainly learned some things that we're definitely going to be paying more close attention to and trying to understand more. And we're super glad that I was able to come and really see the energy for building a better financial future here in Ghana and on the continent more generally.
Thank you so much. Angie, were you able to join any of the sessions for the 3 Africa Summit?
I have not yet, but I will be there tomorrow, and I'm actually doing a workshop there tomorrow on TBDEX.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I just flew in today, and I came to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Entirely lucky. All right. It's been your girl Adobea Biritwum. This evening we've had a conversation with the team from TBD, and we have spoken about how we can enhance our payment platforms here in Ghana and in Africa as a whole. God willing, next week we will be back at the same time. So make a date with that. Thank you so much once again, Angie and Mike, for joining me. And a big thank you to my producers. God willing, next week we will be back. Stay tuned.